Start over?
Hey guys, what's going on? We're live from Scare-A-Cuse 2012. Today's the last day of the event, and you got me and Ryan here with Sal Lizard. How's it going, Sal?
It's going great. It's always, Sunday is sort of a bittersweet day for, I think, most of us because, it's been a fun weekend. I think we all, someday I've got to get some t-shirts made up that just said, I survived the VIP party. Everybody's walking around, half of them look like zombies because they party so hard. I wake up, I find strange things in my pocket, which I believe a gal slipped in there, and damn it wasn't her phone number.
I know.
What can I say? These things are so much fun, but I tell people, everybody dreads the setup and the breakdown, but everything in between is a blast.
Yup. Exactly. That's a cool thing because, especially at like a convention like this, because you have people, you have all different types of walks of life here.
Oh, yeah.
You have, people who appeared in horror movies, you have paranormal teams, you have investigators, you have spiritualists, you have zombie people, you have tattoo artists, you have just regular actors and actresses. You have the Batmobile. You have so many different things that are here.
Oh yeah.
And it's an event like this that it's amazing how everyone gets along and everyone's just just psyched to hang out with each other and meet new people and see old friends and stuff like that. And it's really cool to get the opportunity to do this for a weekend.
Oh yeah. And the thing of it is that. I was telling somebody, I live in New Hampshire, but I haven't been home since last December. I've been traveling around,
Wow.
between the conventions and doing some comedy gigs and being on film sets and stuff. And I tell folks, I go, the interesting thing is that I see some of these people so often that there's a lot of the actors and a lot of the vendors and folks like yourself that I almost consider them family. I see them so often, and it's like I look forward to seeing them when I see that they're on the website, or occasionally I'll even go, oh darn, so and so didn't make that,
Yep.
I one of the first people I met when I started doing this, Adrienne King, she and I had been friends for a while, and this was like maybe the third convention I'd been at that she was at, and as soon as she saw me, she was doing an interview. And as soon as they cut the camera, she's like, Sal, and she comes over, and of course she's such a sweetheart of a gal. She told me she misses her husband when she's away, and I said, I'm sure he misses you too. And she goes, oh yeah. I said, yeah. Hell, I'm not even married to you, and I miss you when you're not around.
AJ King, we got a chance to meet her yesterday, me and Ryan, and she seems just like so down to earth. So awesome, and she's actually from Long Island, where we're from too.
Oh yeah.
She's from Oyster Bay, so we were talking to her about Long Island.
Long Island.
Yes.
And how she started her own winery, so she has Crystal Lake wines and stuff. And it's interesting how from one thing, how over the years people have branched off and started new things. Like you have Ari, who we're set up right next to, who was the first Jason.
Right.
And, he goes from being a 14-year-old, dragging her out of a boat, to, having a band that played the show last night for us.
Oh, yeah, and they were awesome. They always are.
They were great.
Great, yeah.
And it was pretty cool because it's like, how often can you say, like, you're hanging out at a bar drinking with, all these people from, like I said, all different types of walks of life, and it's like, you look over and it's, there's Michael Myers dancing on the bows there between two booths, and it's like, then you got Jason playing, with his whole set and everything, and
Derek Mears is cleaning the tables up.
Oh yeah, I photobomb Derek Mears last night, and then what happens is, and you were mentioning Ari, one of the things about him is he's such a down-to-earth guy, and he and I are really good friends, and we see each other at a lot of shows. But last night this couple asked me, they go, can we get our picture taken with you? And I said, sure. And they're looking around for somebody and said, hey Ari, would you do me a favor and take a picture of us? And they said, and he goes, sure. And so as he takes the picture,
do you need anything?
So what happens is he takes the picture of us, and all of a sudden I told the folks, I said, just think, you can tell folks that Ari Lehman took that picture.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it was like, oh yeah, Sal, no problem, you know. And you know, that's what I love, is a lot of people think that the actors and artists are unapproachable, but you know, most of them are very approachable.
We definitely learned that this weekend.
Oh yes. So hi there, how you doing?
How are you?
All right, so far. So, is there anything I can interest you in?
Is there?
Let me see. I have regular photo Santas because, you know, I do that. I help the guy out as much as I can. And then, of course, I do the vampire Santa. And then I've got just the headshots and some character shots. Like I do comedy as a zombie. And I got some videos over here which are very inappropriate for 3 of you. And, of course, I got T-shirts.
I'll check those out. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. And then I got T-shirts, of course, also.
That's cool. All right. I think we're all set right now. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. My pleasure.
We got your card. Do you have a website? Or?
Yes, I do. ActorSal.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
To start back up, we're good. And so as we were saying is, you know, it's just you get to learn that, like the first thing I said to Derek Muse yesterday, I was like, you are one of the baddest mother effers in the movie industry. The scariest bastards in the world, and you're one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
He's got a smile on his face. He's like, hey.
Oh yeah.
Very humble, very, you know, and it's like, you wouldn't think that from him killing 75 people on the movie.
Oh, sure.
The guy who plays Predator and Jason. He's the nicest guy ever.
I'll tell you, somebody else who has a really intense look. He's a nice guy, but he really has an intense look, is Kane Hodder.
Yes.
Right.
Man, I was going to cast him in a film, a werewolf film that I was supposed to shoot, and I was going to cast him as the sheriff. But I told him, I said, I think if I was a werewolf and you were the sheriff, I'd be sticking my furry paw up and hitching a ride out of town. I said, you wouldn't even have to fight the werewolf. He'd just like, hey, Hodder, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. He even in real life, he just like,
oh yeah,
just jacked and just like, he was a sweetheart when he talked to him.
Oh yeah,
but
nice
it's like
guy.
when you're looking at him, it's just like, dude, he looks like he can do some damage.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about Kane is, you know, I tell everybody I've only been acting for 10 years. I was an IT guy, and when with the .com bubble burst, I lost my job with a master's in computer sciences. I had to reinvent myself as an actor, and people said, you can't just become an actor. You're too old, too fat, and too ugly. But that was 10 years ago. It was in 2002, and now I've been in over 36 films. So basically, I say, look, I got something for you, and I show my middle digit and say, this is why I don't listen to people.
Right.
Exactly.
But Kane, I always tell people I'm not as well known as a lot of actors, so maybe I'm not so much a celebrity as a sub-celebrity. And but Kane Hodder is one of those people that every time I walk by his table, he can have a line of people, but as soon as he sees me, he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Sal Lizard, you know, like that.
Yeah.
And he always does that, and he doesn't realize, I don't think, unless he hears this, how appreciative I am of that, because a lot of people became aware of me because Kane Hodder constantly introducing me.
Right.
And
That's
great
nice.
guy. Yeah.
And that's cool because it's like, you know, sometimes there are certain people who may slip under the radar or this and that, and then it's like just being recognized, like you say, you know, by a friend who some people may not even associate you two together or whatever. And it's just like, you guys are buddies and this and that, and just, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, you know, let me go check that person out, all right, they're friends, or, you know.
You know, speaking of nice guys, at the very first horror convention I ever did, there was a fellow there, and I put in my black sclera lenses. You know, for those of you that don't know me, when I dress up as a vampire Santa and as a comedy zombie, I put these full black sclera lenses in my eyes. And this fellow came over and goes, oh my gosh, are your eyes okay? Are your eyes irritating you? A friend of mine got injured by full sclera lenses. Make sure you use the eye drops. And every time I saw this guy at horror conventions, he would say to me, how are your eyes? Are you still wearing those lenses? Do you use the eye drops? You know, are you seeing a doctor occasionally to have him check your eyes? And it's a guy that when you look at him, he kind of looks scary. But he's the nicest guy in the world, and that's Michael Berryman.
Right.
You know, Michael has always shown nothing but concern, and I had breakfast with him the other morning. He's a very, very smart, intelligent man, and I had a very enjoyable breakfast with him, and we were comparing our, like my grandfather was my tutor in life, and his father was taught him a lot, and but you know, it's hard to believe that he's as kind as he is. You know, just to look at him, he's got a great character face.
The first day of the convention, he was signing like 8 things, standing there holding his bags, this and that, and he turns around. He's like, "I need a drink real quick." So he walks by. I was like, "If you don't mind," and he's like, "I'll be right back." And he goes and gets a drink. Came over, put his coffee down, the soda, whatever. And he's signed stuff first, and he's like, "I really appreciate it." He walks away, and I'm like, you know what? Like, to me, that makes me feel good as an individual growing up watching these movies. You're telling me that you appreciate that I want something signed by you, when I appreciate the work that you did, and you know, make me want to watch movies, make me want to do this, and want to come to these conventions. And that's the thing that a lot of people get to realize at these conventions. Yesterday, we sat down with Jay LaRose, and he goes, "I'm surprised you guys want an interview with me." He goes, "I'm thankful every time, you know, someone comes up to me and, you know," he goes, "I'm not, you know," and that's one thing that, you know, is definitely really cool about these events, because, you know, everybody has such a kind heart, and, you know, everyone comes together, and, you know, we actually have 2 posters that we have for our radio show, Misguided Souls, and one of them we're going to keep, and one of them we're donating to charity. You had signed a poster for us as well, and just going around to people, everyone was just like, "You know what? You know, we charge X amount of money, but don't worry about it. It's for you and it's for charity, and this, and it's really cool." And you know, like today, once we leave here, we're driving straight back down to Long Island and unloading the van at another convention that we're doing for cancer patients.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, you know, just from one to another.
Well, you know, that's something that a lot of people don't realize about these conventions. Is a lot of times there is a charity component, and not only do some conventions donate a portion of their proceedings, but you have groups inside like the Fix the Chapel people that are raising money to fix the chapel that appeared in the very first Night of the Living Dead. And then you have people like my neighbors over there, Scare-A-Cuse, that raise money and they donate them to needy families and things of that nature. And horror, you know, the horror fans and the horror actors are some of the most charitable people I've met. And I've told people, you know, earlier I alluded to the fact that they're like family. I told someone, I said, at the last convention I was at in Indianapolis, Indiana, I said, you know, I've come to believe that I can just pretty much do, you know, if I got really drunk or anything, people would make sure that nothing happened to me. And I said, you know, I have no doubt that if some guy came in and for whatever reason was angry with me, that there were people around that would not let anything happen to me, because and just because you know, like you mentioned, people, Jay LaRosa. You know, a long time ago, I discovered something, and that was when people want their picture taken with me, I suddenly am, they're saying, "I want to welcome you into my memories," you know, and it's such an honor, and I don't really consider myself anybody special, and if there's anything that makes me special, it's the love of the people that appreciate me, you know, so that's why I never turn down a chance to get a picture taken, especially if it's a gal. You know, and if you've ever seen any of my pictures, you know I appreciate women.
Yes, very much. So tell us about, you know, you've been acting for 10 years now. Appeared in over 36 movies.
Right.
You know, what is your most memorable or one of your favorite movies that you've worked in, or your favorite memories of acting?
Okay. Well, you know, probably. I haven't been able to iron down my favorite. As a matter of fact, I tell people my favorite hasn't been shot yet. But of the movies that I've done so far, you know, Hillbilly Bob Zombie meant a lot to me, and that's my #1 selling film. I was approached by a friend of mine, Ray Basham, who said to me, I want to do my first zombie movie, and since you do stand-up comedy, and I know I'm going to make mistakes, I want to make it funny. So could you write some jokes into the script, and we'll turn it into a comedy farce? And I said, oh, sure. So I said, what kind of jokes do you want? He goes, well, it's a hillbilly film, so make them really sick and disgusting. I said, well, what rating? He goes, oh, XXX is fine. So I said, all right. So I sat down with his script, and I started writing jokes. Well, when you do this a number of times, you pretty well learn the script. Right. So the very first day of shooting, Ray said, I'm going to give you a part in this film. I'm going to make you Grandpa. And my only line that I had for myself for Grandpa was, the best part of that boy ran down his mama's leg. Now, what happens is, Ray had Brenna Roth, and she was a trauma actor. And, well, I don't want to limit her, but trauma was one of the things she got her start with. But and she's since been in Spider-Man and a whole bunch of other things. But she was the only professional actor he had. So the leading man was a neighbor of his who couldn't act his way out of a paper bag. So I'm actually on the set trying to give him acting lessons. And he didn't have his lines memorized or anything. So Ray looks at me and he goes, Sal, you know the script. You're a professional actor. He goes, why don't you play her husband? And I went, but I'm twice her age. I'm supposed to be her dad. He goes, it's a hillbilly film. You could be twice her age and her daddy and still be your husband. So that's how I got that lead role. And I tell everybody, Ray was right. He made a lot of mistakes. And it's the second worst film I was ever in. But it's my #1 seller. And people tell me they love it. And I love it because it's the first film where I actually had the lead role. And so my acting in that film and my jokes, a lot of people have told me they love. Now, another favorite movie, of course, was Feeding the Masses, but that was my first feature-length film. I played 3 different zombies and a scientist in it, and that's what gave me the bug to keep acting. But I guess probably I could not mention The Box. When I was in The Box, I played Santa alongside Cameron Diaz and James Marsden and Frank Langella. But I never met Frank Langella, although I would have liked to have, and I never met James Marsden. But Cameron Diaz walked up behind me while I was waiting for one scene, and she puts her hand on my shoulder while I'm talking to a PA, and I hear, hello there, Santa, and I turn around, I'm staring into the face of Cameron Diaz, and she goes, oh my God, you really do look like Santa. And I did my Santa laugh. I was like, can I tell you something funny? And she goes, what's that? And I said, you really look like Cameron Diaz, too. And she laughed and said, oh, and like me, you're the real Santa, right? And I said, well, I'm the genuine Santa, because that's what I call my website is thegenuinesanta.com. I said, I'm the genuine Santa. And she goes, oh, yeah, you do like malls and stuff? And I go, in parades and nursing homes and child care centers and things like that. And she goes, well, I just want to personally thank you for keeping Christmas alive for so many children. And at that point, they called me out. So I didn't get my picture taken with her or anything else. Of course, when I tell the joke, I tell people, I go, my favorite scene was the one they edited out. It was the sex scene between me and Cameron Diaz. And I said, and afterwards she thanked me for my performance. And I had some friends say to me, they said, well, what are you going to do when Cameron Diaz calls you up and says, I heard this, and you got to quit telling people that? And I go, well, first off, if Cameron Diaz calls me, that's a bonus in itself. Yeah, exactly. And I said, but more than likely it's going to be an attorney. And I said, because she wouldn't bother to call me, but she might have her attorney do it or her manager. And then I'm going to say, you know what? It's my story. I'll spin it how I like. And so, but no, that's the movie that got me into SAG, the Screen Actors Guild. Right. And so it was great. And I actually got to have lunch with the directors on that. So because they wanted to know what it was like to be Santa and all that, and that was kind of cool too. So. Yeah.
And what is your favorite part of playing Santa?
My favorite part of playing Santa. My favorite part of playing Santa is seeing the look on a child's face. And I get that year-round because, as you know, I look like Santa all the time, which is how this Vampire Santa thing came about, was because people would see me at horror shows and go, what's Santa doing at a horror convention? So I figured, what the hell, if they see me as Santa, I'll bring Santa into it. So I started bringing my Santa photos, and I decided to vamp him up a little since it's a horror show. And my Vampire Santa character took off so well that now there's actually 2 screenplays being developed around him and a comic book. But little children, in the wintertime as regular Santa, I take my time with children, and I usually, even the most stubborn child, I can get a picture with. And but even as the vampire Santa, children come up to me. And one of the things that they do is, there's a picture right now, by the time this has been heard a few times, it may not be there anymore, but on my Facebook page, there's a little girl sitting on my lap that's all bloodied up, as a costume. And she's like 3 years old, and she came up to me at my table at a horror convention, and she just called me Santa Claus, and puts her arms up, and I pick her up and set her on my knee, and her dad takes the picture of that. But that little girl, she just saw me as Santa, and no matter where I was at, whether I was in my suit or not, even with the vampire lenses in and the teeth, she's still Santa Claus, I love you, And somebody said, did you have to explain to her that this was all? I said, the thing that's wonderful about children, but also makes them the most vulnerable, is children haven't grown up and gotten jaundice yet. They don't really see the evil. And so they don't see the evil in a vampire Santa. They just see Santa. And the children who are a little bit older that look at me, I always take the teeth out and assure them that it's just for fun, and Santa likes to dress up and have fun too. Right. And they seem to accept that very well. Nice. But that look of love and excitement on a child's face is something that,
And I could actually relate to that because it's hard to believe because I'm 6'5". But when I was a kid, my dad used to play Santa Claus, and we worked with charities, and we used to travel to different hospitals, and I was the elf, or as some called the schmuck.
I know I get sidetracked so easily with these things.
And I would carry around all the presents. So we'd go room to room, and my dad would hand out presents. And it was definitely a cool experience going in and making someone's day. So, but what do you have in the future?
What do I have in the future? Well, I got this new film coming out this fall. It's been coming out for a while, but it involves a lot of stop-gap animation, with the molding and stuff. And it takes a while. But this film, I play the part of Captain DeBarco. And Captain DeBarco is this crusty old sea captain on a fishing boat. And he's loud, and he talks in a gravelly voice, the whole darn thing, which really worked on my throat. And he's so perverse and so mean. I just love the guy. And what happens is that movie, it's called Hooked, is coming out soon. And I'm looking forward. I think that's probably going to be one of my better performances for my reel. And then, I do have people approaching me all the time. Last night, a fellow walked up to me who's a manager for several actors. He's not actually my manager, but he did walk up to me and say, I want to get you into a film project that I'm working with in Chicago. And he goes, but I want 15%, which is standard. Right. So I said, okay, that's fine. If you can get me in a film, that's great. I have a couple of agents, but agents work passively. And so because I have such a niche look, they don't find me much work. I do have a manager, Beth Stelter, she's a great gal, and she manages my conventions. And so, whenever somebody walks up to me, I can very easily, independently say, oh, sure, I'll be glad to do that. But I'm always looking for more opportunities. My book is coming out November the 8th. It's called Being Santa Claus. It's a collection of stories about me as a genuine Santa. And then what happens is that book comes out November the 8th, and I've already got a lot of my fans, horror fans and regular people, who are ordering it on Amazon, pre-ordering it. I am doing 2 conventions after the book comes out, so I'll be selling it there. But my publisher is going to put me on a national book tour from the 23rd of November through the 23rd of December, and I'm supposed to appear on morning talk shows like Good Morning America and Fox and Friends and The View and that sort of stuff to talk about my book. And I'll be appearing as Santa on those, and I'm hoping that gets me a lot more work too as I get national recognition.
Right. Oh, well, I wish you the best of luck with the book and, with the new projects that you have working on, and definitely want to keep in touch.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because it was great to, get to hang out with you this weekend, hang out with you, see you last night, this and that. It was definitely interesting.
Oh, yeah, well, if anything, I try to be an entertainer all the time. And, and my grandpa taught me when I was a young man, he said, the only way to really have fun is to make sure everybody around you is having fun too.
Right.
And so I really try to do that. And so I love telling jokes. I love flirting with the girls, and I I have a witness. And and the thing of it is if everybody around me is having fun, then I feel pretty good about that. Especially if I know I contributed in some little way.
Yep.
Well, I thank you again for talking with us and taking the time out of your day to do an interview with us.
Be sure and friend me on Facebook.
Definitely will.
Yeah, I announce where I'm at. I announce where I'm going. I do all that on Facebook. I also have several friend pages or like pages for the Vampire Santa, for the Genuine Santa, for Abner Zombie, the stand-up comedy Zombie, and even for the actor Sal Lizard, plus my regular Sal Lizard page. Any gals out there that are listening to this thing, whatever you do, don't wake up alone. If you need me, I'm here for you. Alrighty? No gal should ever have to wake up alone. And that's a service I provide.
That's good.
Yes. I think it's a necessary service. A gal told me the other night, she said, I was so drunk last night. And I said, no, you weren't. And she goes, yes, I was. And I said, no, you weren't. And she goes, well, how do you know? You weren't there. I said, did you wake up with me? And she goes, no. I said, then you weren't that drunk. And I said, but here, take my card in case you are ever that drunk,
And that's a good thing, because he's got his picture on it.
That's right. It's got my picture, so they don't have to remember who I am. And the cell phone number's on there.
Exactly.
So no matter where I'm at, I at least can pan career,
And that's exactly, because then you also look at it as, have you ever seen Santa Claus?
That's it.
And, when he comes, he does his job and leaves too. So.
Well, you know what? One of my favorite jokes is the Vampire Santa. Is you know why it's important to leave Santa cookies? Because if you don't, I'll lick your pie. And quite a few girls have told me, maybe that's why I wake up Christmas morning with a smile on my face. I go, it could be.
Oh, well, thank you again, Sal, and we'll be sure to meet up with you soon. All right. And we're going to keep in contact.
All right, great.
Yep. Thank you so much
again.
No,
thank you for the interview. I certainly appreciate it. I really want people to get to know me.
Yeah.
Good. And again, this is Chris and Ryan with Sal Lizard, Misguided Souls. Have a good one, guys.